You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast, episode 141 with Ria Freeman. Welcome to this episode of the Small and Supercharged podcast. It's a solo with me, and we're talking about uncertain times. We're talking about how in these uncertain times, you as a small business, as a brand, even as an influencer, how can you plan when you have got no idea what the landscape's going to look like? And as I'm recording this now, there've been a few big events that have been cancelled for 2021. And I know looking back to 2020, we all felt quite confident that it'd be resolved by now. That obviously we missed an awful lot of shows and an awful lot of events during 2020. But I think the vast majority of us, especially at the beginning of the year when stuff did start to be cancelled, we thought, well, okay, yeah, it's horrible, it's unpleasant, we'd rather not be missing it. But next year, this is all going to be worth it. And of course it is worth it. You know, I'm not going to get into I'm not going to get into the vaccinations or the rollout or what's happening, because hopefully by the time you listen to this, we'll be in an even stronger position than we are now, because at the time of recording, the vaccinations are going at an incredible rate. The rates are dropping. I'm not an expert on this. I just watch a lot of press conferences and talk a lot about it and read a lot about it. And I think that it's just a very difficult time, and especially when we weren't predicting this. Flipping back a year, we were kind of, things were kind of going the wrong way, and we were very much aware of what was happening. And then in a few weeks' time, a year ago, we would have been going into the first lockdown and felt quite optimistic and positive that it was bizarre and strange and not what we wanted, but it was short-lived. And of course, it has gone on for a lot longer than I think most people predicted. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about how can you plan for 2021 when what you thought would be happening, you're not sure if it is. And it's a really difficult question. And it's one that I've thought about quite a lot. Obviously, I work with a number of different businesses, a number of different small business owners across a whole different range of businesses. Some are purely online. Some used to go to a lot of shows. Some used to have a mixture of shows and events. Some have got bricks and mortar shops, which obviously suffered enormously during the different lockdowns. So I work with people in lots of different situations. I work with riders who, whilst they've still got horses in and they're still working the horses, perhaps they've had to change their work, they haven't been going to competitions. I think everybody I know has been affected in some way. For some people, it can be that what they've done is it's encouraged them to do things that they were too scared to do. It's pushed them in different directions that moving forward are going to perhaps give them a better quality of life or a better work-life balance. It has allowed people to spend more time with their families in many cases, because with children off school, and as I'm recording this, my children are homeschooling. So, I see a lot of the children now. I love them to bits, but I do see a lot more of them than I expected. And I think a lot of people are in that similar situation as well. So it's a funny one. And I wanted to just talk through, I did actually have a message about this saying, could you do a podcast about how do you plan when you've no idea what the landscape's going to look like? And what I want to take it back to is in essence quite simple, which is, what can you influence? What can you be sure of? So let's think about the show season. I don't know what's going to be going ahead this show season. I don't think many people do. We've heard of big events being cancelled. We've heard of big events being run behind closed doors. We have heard of all sorts of different ways that things are going to work in 2021. And if you are planning to go to shows, that's not ideal if you don't know what's going on. If you're entirely reliant on shows, that's a big problem. And that's one I would urge you to address, because you can't control whether or not the shows go ahead. And even going back before COVID, if, in the UK, we're blessed with crazy weather conditions sometimes, not like other countries, but, it'll throw it down in the middle of the year and we'll have to call off events in the summer because it's waterlogged, for example, not like tsunamis and hurricanes and all sorts of things like that. But we do have some exciting weather. So if your business solely relies on something that you can't control, that is a problem. And I think that is one that last year, 2020, has really brought into incredibly sharp focus. Because before, whilst we may miss our show because of the weather or something like that, for an entire season to go, that's a problem. And not having any fallback position, if that is your only route to market, is a problem. I know I've spoken about this before in terms of why it's good to have your own website, why it's good to have your own control platforms, your own mailing list, etc., etc. It's because some events, we can't always control whether or not they go ahead. I wouldn't have thought a global pandemic would have been on the list of reasons why, but it is. And obviously the weather, and even if events simply decide not to run, it might be that at the end of the year it's fine for people to run events and they've decided not to. It may be that events simply aren't profitable for the people that run the events and they've decided not to run them. So if your whole business model is based on these things, these events that you can't control fundamentally, you do really need to review that. I really believe that. And similarly, if your business is completely based on social media, again, another platform that you don't own or control, that's a problem too. So the first thing is, what can you control? Now, if you're a business thinking, my whole business was shows and I haven't been able to do that now and I don't have anywhere to go, you do. You absolutely do have somewhere to go. Whatever situation you're in, I really believe there is always somewhere to go. But it's probably going to take pivoting, a lot of perhaps retraining, which you can do for free online or you can pay to do courses. There's an awful lot out there that you can do. So what can you control? Think about that. Now, what most of us can control to some degree, sometimes with help from people, is our online presence. We can control how our website looks, that our website exists, that our website can do what we need it to do. We can control how much we put out on social media. We can control the blogs we write. We can control the content we produce. We can control the ways that we speak to our customer and how we speak to them. We can control growing our mailing list. There are lots of things that we can control. And I know I said we can't fully control social media, and we can't, but we can control the input that we give to that, that we do to those platforms, how much time we spend on those platforms, what we create for them. And we can also control the next step along in the conversion from people that we have going to our websites to what they can then do, which influences us directly and our business in the way we want. So think about what you're able to control within your business, or what you could control if you did do a pivot. Think about what you can do. So show brands can increase their online presence, simple as that. If you used to do only in-person events, can you develop an online version? None of the stuff here I'm saying is rocket science, but I think that it's really important to look again and think, okay, well, if last year was when we were kind of scrambling and being quite reactive to the situation, perhaps this year's a time to say, we've learned a lot from this experience. We know what elements we can control. How are we going to improve that? What can we do to improve what we do? So if you, for example, threw up a quick website last year because you just needed somewhere to go, maybe you used another reseller, like, others are available like Etsy or things like that, which is brilliant. What can you do now that is going to help to make your position more robust, to make you a lot more professional, to improve what you do and to promote your message better to the world? Could you spend some more time on your website? It might be, if you do have any available funds, that you work with a developer to help create an overall branded feel. Maybe you improve the themes of, you improve your theme. Maybe you change website providers to go from a different, more e-commerce friendly platform. What can you do to make that process easier and more slick and more on brand for you? And it might not even cost you that much. There are some amazing platforms that are designed for you to be able to create your own websites, to drag and drop, to import themes. There's a huge amount of free information on the platform's websites or on YouTube. Or if you do have some spare funds, you can get a developer who can do amazing things just because they're a lot more proficient because they use the platform so much, and create what looks like a really, really professional shop front for you in a relatively short space of time. So don't think it's just too much to deal with. Honestly, if you spend a short amount of time on YouTube or on the relevant websites that are connected to the kind of platforms you want to use, you will find so much information there and you'll be able to create something really good. So, can you improve what you've got, and how do you need to do that? So, research is one. Thinking back to websites, look at websites that you like. What makes you like them? Can you look at what platforms they use? And often at the bottom they'll say what platforms they use, whether they use, Shopify or WordPress or Wix or Weebly or whatever. A lot of them will say that. So what platforms do they use? Do you like the process there? Can you go and research through those websites? Many of them have live chat features, and ask questions to the people there about what your needs are and if they can do that for you. What resources do you need to make these changes? Now, I'm still sticking with the website thing, but do you need more information? Do you need tutorials? Do you need time? What do you need to be able to do what you need to do to deliver the change that you want to see, to improve what you can do? What do you need to learn? What do you need to learn that you can find? And again, there's a huge amount of stuff online for free. There's obviously a lot of really good courses as well that are paid for. I'm just putting both options out there because I want you to know that you're covered. Whichever way you are attacking this, there's stuff you can do. And this applies obviously beyond shops or beyond people that usually had stalls. I think it's a really good time to generally look at what can you control in this current climate. If you wanted to have in-person events, if you wanted to run workshops and things like that, and you can't do that now, how can you do it? Well, there's loads of online platforms that you can use. Things like Zoom are brilliant. What else have I used recently? There's GoToWebinar, Zoom. I think I use one called Demio. Not sure now. Doubting myself on that. But there's loads of different platforms. Even actually Facebook have now got a paid events option for some people and some accounts. There's loads available there that you can tap into if you just look at what you wanted to do. What was the objective you wanted to achieve? So with a webinar, with a workshop, that's perhaps not the objective. The objective is to speak to people and educate people and get them excited. There are loads of ways you can do that. If your objective is to sell product, don't say it's to go to a show, it's to sell the product. So how are you going to get your product to your customers? If it's to advise customers, to advise clients, to whatever you want to do, that's your objective. And now think about how you're going to get there using what you can control and thinking about the current climate. And this may probably mean you're going to have to learn new things. You're going to have to upskill. You're going to have to work out how Eventbrite works and how Zoom works and how you can admit people through whatever platform you're using, or how Facebook's paid for events work, or whatever you want to do. There is going to be some learning there. But the great thing is that most of this learning isn't going to cost you anything. It's for free. So think about your objective and think about the ways you can go there, and you can learn how to do it. Think about how you can serve your audience using the tools available for free or that you pay for, obviously depending on your budget, that can help you achieve the same objectives. You can also survey your audience, get your audience involved in these next steps. What's going to really appeal to them? What are they going to want you to do? How are they going to be pleased if you interact with them in that way? Are they going to want to go to, Facebook Lives where you can talk about do your workshops that way and that allows them to buy a course? Or are they going to want to have individual consultations with you? What do they want to do? The thing is, it obviously applies to everyone's different business will have a different set of questions they might want to ask their audience. And the great thing is you can do polls. You can do polls on things like Instagram stories. You can do polls on Facebook. You can use survey tools out there, like SurveyMonkey and things like that, that can help you to Find out what people want. What do they want to see? How can you get that for them? Now, of course, when you do a survey, you can get a huge amount of results, and you do need to filter these to make sure you're getting to the core of the issue. But how cool is that you've got your objective and you can ask your audience for their opinions. So when you come up with an idea of how to deliver the service, product, whatever that you want to do, if you're unsure and it's going to be a lot of commitment in terms of time, money, etc., you can ask them their opinion. What do they think? Take them along on the journey with you. Use it as a positive spin to get them excited about what you're doing. Of course, we can all do a few things that do go across everything, and that's improve your online presence, improve your digital presence. And this includes things like your website I've spoken about, but also your social media. Don't neglect this. It's an incredible free resource. It is the most amazing marketing platform. And whilst I've seen a lot of people worry that they can't go to shows and events, and I completely get that, because there's a lot of footfall, there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of people going to these events. You've got literally billions of people on social media. So I know they're not necessarily there to buy or to browse. And as you narrow down your target audience, it gets a lot smaller, from billions to a lot less than billions. But the people are there. But if you're not showing up, if you're not showing them what you can do, if you're not showing them what they can buy from you, if you're not showing them what's available, how on earth can they get excited, and how on earth can they buy what you're doing? I know it can feel quite hard when you're thinking, well, if I was going to a show, I'd be talking about getting ready for the show, I'd be talking about that, this, that, and the other. And when I'm at the show, I'd be doing Instagram lives, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, behind the scenes snaps. I get it. If you were at a show, it would be different. But the thing is that we need to realise is we don't know if that can happen. So what can you do that allows people to get that similar experience through social in the current situation? So rather than showing you packing for a show and putting things up, show what happens when you receive an order, how you pack it up. Talk about the designs that you've created, things that you would do on the stand when you would be selling to somebody direct, and you'd be saying, yeah, so this bag, look at it. This is a zip. It's a special kind of zip. Look at how we finished it. Look at this. Show people the things that you would show them on stories or whatever leading up to the show and at the show too. The suite of kind of sub-products within each of the social media platforms is incredible. If you think about Instagram, I love Instagram. We've obviously got the grid posts, we've got stories, we've got IGTV, we've got reels, we've got guides, and particularly inside stories, there's loads of options in there. So have a play with them and see what works for you. What can you create using these things that's going to work? And obviously you've got Instagram Live as well, something that you've also got on Facebook. You've got Facebook Live, you've got Facebook Stories, you can put video, quite long videos as well. There's so much stuff inside these platforms that you probably aren't fully utilising that can help you to get your message out there, to make the sales that you would have perhaps usually made at shows. But it can still 100% help you do that. Think about exploring new routes to market. Think about exploring new ways to sell. Think about upskilling so you can improve what you do, make yourself really stand out and deliver an even better service, or to deliver a service that you would have usually done in person but can now only do remotely. There's so much you can do, and I know it can feel very daunting when what you were planning and what you expect to happen may not happen, may happen, you don't know. But the thing is, if it does happen, you'll have time to prep this. If you are really passionate about the shows and the events, you'll have time to prep. If you have got a bricks and mortar shop, you can open your doors when you're allowed to. You've got the time to do this, even if it's a work in progress. And the great thing is that all the things that we've talked about here can still be running in the background, can still be generating you an income, can still be getting you out in front of the people that you need to get in front of, even when you're doing your other activities that you would like to do or that you plan to do. You can still do all of these things. And they will only help you if you're going to an event because you will have a better handle of your social media and you'll be able to promote it better. You'll be able to promote it on your website. You'll be able to contact the mailing list that you've been working hard to grow and say, woohoo, we're at a show, come and see us. Similarly, if you've got workshops, in-person workshops, you can still use your mailing list, your website, your social media platforms that you've been really developing and working hard on to tell people about these workshops. You could even add an additional option where people can come in person or they can pay to watch the replays or have some kind of live event on Facebook too. And if you're a shop, if you're a bricks and mortar, if you're a physical shop, all the stuff that you're doing at the back end to build your website, to increase your sales through your website, to grow your list, to build your blog, to work with influencers, all these things, whether you have your physical doors open or you have your online doors open, it's going to help you. None of this work is going to be wasted, whatever the situation transpires. If shows are open, amazing, that's a massive perk. If you can open your doors normally and we can ease all these restrictions and things start to go back to normal, amazing. But until that point, by putting the work in and thinking about the current situation and then thinking about what you can control and what you can do related to what you can control, obviously all within the rules, to improve what you're doing is just really powerful. And the great thing is as well that you will feel so much more in control by taking these steps, because it can feel just so overwhelming when you feel like you are in control of nothing, that you are no longer in control of your own destiny, that you can't plan anything because, like, who even knows what's going to happen, right? But when you start to take small steps to help get you back into control, even if that step is writing down a list of websites that you like, or going to somewhere like Enterprise Nation. I'm very lucky to be involved with Enterprise Nation. I'm one of their She Means Business accredited trainers. And they do these really cool things called Lunch and Learn, which you've probably heard about. A few weeks ago, I had Emma Jones, the founder, on, and I also had Lauren Malone, who is the lead for the female founder events there. They have these amazing free things each lunchtime called Lunch and Learn. They've got lots of great opportunities going on. They've got, low price online events to get involved in as well. Even if your step is just looking and seeing what's available that you can learn and getting that as a thing that you can do and how you could possibly improve. If you want to improve your website but you want to do it yourself, what things can you watch online? What websites are great? What webinars can you tap into? That's massive. So I would really urge you, if you can, get some paper, get a pen, and think, okay, what can I control in my business? What can I control in what I do? And how can I improve this? How can I take it to the next step? What can I do to improve this more and to ensure that whatever happens with any of the factors that are uncertain, you'll still be making good steps in the right direction? And I would say as well, if you are an influencer or a brand ambassador, and I know a lot of this has been brand heavy, but the same applies to you. It really does. So if usually you have photo shoots all over the place and you have products from brands and you go and work with brands closely, how can you pivot and change what you do that fits in with the current regulations, with the current thinking? So regardless of whether you're able to get and go onto photo shoots and get that close to people in the near future, what can you do? Well, you can probably improve your photography skills, even with your phone and a self-timer. You can maybe speak to some photographers about what, how they're working. If, when the rules change, I'm not an expert on exactly what the rules mean to each individual industry, for the record, but you could always look into that. Say, get better with your self-timer, speak to brands and say, okay, what else can I do for you? Maybe there's some other things that are really good, like reels are amazing at the moment. You can do reels at home. Maybe you can get some lighting, if you know how to make it work in a good way, that's going to allow you to do that. Maybe you can set up a little set and do more video content, whereas you should be doing it with brands. Maybe you do it on your own. Maybe you embrace the live functions on the different platforms and bring a different experience, but still achieving that objective of getting brands that you work with out there to your audience. So although it is uncertain, and I'm not saying it's not, it is, there are still things you can do. So take control, take a deep breath. You've got this. You've got this. Think it through. There's loads of resources out there for you. And think about what you can control, how you can improve it, and how you're going to thrive in this new time. If you are in the mood and you are really trying to grow, develop, improve your social media skills, improve your digital skills, collaborate with incredible brands, and just learn more and grow your business, I would definitely urge you towards the direction of the Small and Supercharged Mastermind group. This is one of my membership groups, and each month we have a marketing masterclass, we have social media critique, we have weekly lives, we have an incredible community, that we have specific opportunities dropped straight into the group. And we'll also be having a few exciting things that I'll be introducing in the next few months as well to further help people improve their digital skills. If you hop over to riafreemanpr.co.uk, you will see on the top menu there is Small and Supercharged Mastermind, or feel free to ping me a DM and I will send you any information that you need. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you're staying safe at this time. Brighter days are definitely coming. They really, really are. Take care.